that I'm delighted. We do have the former presidents who are here, as well as their Royal Highnesses and distinguished excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to congratulate the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and Mokbe, yes, it is the People's House. They have done quite a lot in terms of the work that they have been charged under the Constitution to do, to make laws, to represent us, and to carry out oversight responsibility. I'd like to thank the Right Honorable Speaker for convening this discussion on state police. It is a very important conversation going on around the country today, how to reimagine our security system, some even say security architecture. I think that when we look at the police, we do recognize the fact that their role in providing security in this country is enormous, that the Constitution and indeed national resources has not provided as much as should be provided for the police to do its responsibility. In 2020, the National Assembly, and I'm happy that the two chairmen of the Police Affairs Committees in both the House and Senate are here, Senator Hali Rujika and Honorable Usman Kumo, led the repeal of the 1943 police law in the country, the Police Act. That act was 77 years old, and the National Assembly in 2020 passed a new Police Act, which is still in implementation, and there are indeed lots of gaps in terms of the implementation of that, and the conversation is now, how do we ensure that the Police Act is amended? If you look into the files that some of you may have, this is the bill that the Deputy Speaker refers to, and this is some analysis of what that bill says. And I do know that around the country there is a whole lot of conversation around how we can get the police to be much more effective. I won't go into any particular conversation on either side of the divide, but there are lots of people who are very, very anxious that the police be reformed, that the police be given more powers, be given more responsibility. Perhaps that the way to go might actually be to decentralize the police in a way that ensures that the decentralization of the police safeguards it from abuse. A lot of people are, of course, worried that if you hand over police to state governors, that could pose a major source of concern as well because of the politically partisan nature of governors. So I think that in the conversation that will happen, and I'm happy that the two chairmen of the Constitution Review Committees in the Senate, Senator Barrow and the Right Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Benjamin Okezie are here, that this would be a major subject of conversation as the Constitution Review efforts go forward. And I think, Right Honorable Speaker, it is quite a spectacular idea that this conversation is thrown open as a thematic issue as we go on with the constitution debate issues, and that you have taken the lead in putting this forward for the country to discuss. Certainly we do expect and hope that the review of the constitution that will happen will produce some significant difference in the way that the country is policed. And I think at that stage, we'll all agree that National Assembly would have done justice to this. And those are a few welcome goodwill remarks that I do have to make. I do thank everyone who is here. I do particularly thank the UK Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, who continue to partner with the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center as we work in support of strengthening the Nigerian legislative system. Thank you so much.
To stand on established protocols. Excellencies, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to be here today to witness the opening of this significant conference on the National Dialogue on Security and State Police, organized by the House of Representatives of Nigeria. As the ambassador of Germany to Nigeria, it is a special pleasure for me to witness this important step towards fostering dialogue and exploring potential avenues for enhancing security in Nigeria. The discussions surrounding the potential introduction of state police demonstrate the complexities and challenges inherent in addressing security concerns. Let me underline at this point that the question of how to structure the Nigerian police, whether through a federal or state structure or both, is one that only the people of Nigeria can answer. The people represented by the Venerable National Assembly will reflect in its decision its commitment to charting its own path towards ensuring the safety and well-being of its citizens, as was just promised by the Honorable Deputy Speaker. In my home country, Germany, each of the 16 federal states have their own state police, their own police laws, and their own police training institutions. We will hear later in the conference in more detail about our experiences with this structure from my compatriot, the former German IGP, Mr. Seeger. Until then, suffice it to say that we have made both positive and also other experiences with state police. While the localized knowledge of state police is an advantage, the difficulty of coordination, competing mandates have often been a challenge. In my opinion, it is therefore less the structure itself that makes the difference, but rather how effective the respective police force is and operates. The good news is both structures can work. While the decision regarding the introduction of state police is yet to be made, the mere consideration of such a significant policy shift requires careful deliberation and comprehensive planning. Any such decision must be informed by a thorough assessment of its potential implications on security dynamics, mandates, financing, training, equipment, jurisprudence, and the rule of law. Today's conference does just that. It reflects on the wider-reaching consequences of the introduction of state police would have, and deliberates the potential advantages and disadvantages. It will therefore serve as an important platform for stakeholders to engage in dialogue, exchange perspectives, and jointly explore strategies for addressing Nigeria's security challenges. By bringing together representatives from government, civil society, and the international community, this conference embodies the collaboration and careful reflection that the question of state police requires. I congratulate the organizers for putting together such a comprehensive and high-level conference. As Nigeria navigates these complex decisions, it is imperative that the principles of accountability, transparency, and respect for human rights remain at the forefront of any such security-related measures. The establishment of effective, inclusive, and accountable security institutions is essential for building trust and fostering stability within society. As a steadfast partner of Nigeria, Germany remains committed to supporting the country in its efforts to enhance security and promote sustainable development. Within our police reform program, implemented by UNDP, together with our partners from GS Foundation, Germany has supported Nigerian governments in their reform efforts for several years. The reform has already shown tangible results and effects, with improved training, equipment, more proactive communication, internally, externally, with support to the strategic planning of the police reform within the NSA's office. This conference today is partly a product of our collaboration. We stand ready to provide assistance and experience where needed, whichever way the Nigerian sovereign decides to structure its police forces. In closing, I extend my gratitude to all participants for their valuable contributions to this conference. I would also like to thank UNDP and their support to setting up the conference, made the discussions held here today, paved the way for meaningful progress towards a safer, more prosperous future for all Nigerians. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we have in the room former presidents, leaders in the parliament, members of the federal government, traditional leaders. So I will also follow the example of my predecessors, so I ask you permission to stand on the existing protocols for the sake of time. Excellencies, I am deeply honored on behalf of the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, to join this critical dialogue on security and state police. Allow me to commend you and your administration for the great leadership and the profound investments that you continue to make in consolidating Nigeria's peace and security. Before I proceed with my goodwill message, I would like to pay my respects to our gallant men and women who recently paid the highest price on the line of duty, ensuring the safety of this great nation. May their souls continue to rest in eternal peace. Kindly allow me to also applaud the esteemed members of the National Assembly for convening this conference and for their appreciation of the varied perspectives and insights of institutions, actors, and the wider population on the topic of security and policing in Nigeria. This topic resonates deeply with the sentiments and aspirations of Nigerians and has ignited conversations across the country, sparking debates and hopes for a safer and more just future. From a UNDP perspective, Excellencies, security is a development issue, and we strongly believe that Sustainable Development Goals, the SDG, in this case, number 16 on peace, justice, and strong institution, is a foundational goal that underpins all the other goals to be achieved. Therefore, the prospect of a state-level policy architecture, which is at the heart of this dialogue, is paramount, given the imperatives of addressing the scourge of crime, insurgency, and various forms of violence that are impacting on Nigeria's development trajectory, thereby presenting a threat to the well-being and safety of all citizens. Excellencies, as we explore the prospects of state-level policy, I would like to also reiterate the multidimensional nature of security that challenges all of us to significantly address the complex structural root causes of insecurity. It is on this basis, Excellencies, that I would like to commend your administration for outlining the 8-point plan under the Renewed Hope Agenda. This plan provides a development blueprint which, if we all as partners align to, could complement the ongoing efforts to bolster responses to insecurity. As I conclude, Excellencies, I would like to outline 4 key points for consideration as we advance the discussions on security and state policy. First, the need to promote the implementation of Nigeria's development offer in addressing the drivers of extremism through the Renewed Hope Agenda. Second, the imperatives of connecting the durable development solutions and the triple nexus humanitarian development peace approach as a pathway to local responses to terrorism. Important aspects for a concerted effort include, but are not limited to, A, fostering community engagement and trust through open dialogues, neighborhood watch initiatives, and tailoring interventions to local needs, especially the crime peace and security nexus. B, enhancing training and equipping of officers. And C, strengthening cybersecurity capacities to minimize cyber-enabled terrorism. Third aspect, the need to address governance deficits, particularly the manifestation of extremism activities in ungoverned areas by promoting effective policing, rule of law and justice mechanisms, and others, as well as governance of natural resources and associated benefit-sharing mechanisms. Fourth, the importance of incorporating regional approaches into our reflections due to the regional dynamics at geopolitical levels. Thus, paying attention to dynamics in the continent, such as in Lake Chad Basin and in the Sahel. Once again, on behalf of the United Nations Development Programme, I want to congratulate Your Excellencies and your administration and reiterate that as we embark on the course towards state policing, let us draw inspiration from successful models around the continent and beyond, while remaining mindful of Nigeria's unique socio-cultural context. A generous funding from the Federal Republic of Germany has been crucial for these achievements, and we sincerely thank them in this area. We, as UNDP, remain committed to supporting these efforts towards inclusive dialogue, soliciting input from diverse stakeholders and leveraging the collective intelligence of Nigerians in reimagining policies for a safe and secure Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
It's a pleasure.
Represented by the Vice President, Alhaji Kashim Shettima, GSN, our Chief Host, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. There cannot be a better time to have this dialogue on state policing in the face of our security challenges. The essence of this dialogue is to find lasting solution to the challenges to public peace and safety. There has been clamor for the establishment of state control police to complement the activities of Nigerian police force. Several arguments have been made to the need for the establishment of state police. Some argued that the Nigerian police force is not living up to expectation in providing the necessary security for the citizenry. Others are of the view that police presence is not felt in many parts of the country, especially in areas requiring security, such as schools, communities, etc. Some contended that even the cities, police presence is mostly felt in areas dominated by the rich. Others still argue that police performance is generally minimal, hence there is insecurity in the country. These and many other reasons have propelled the proponents of state police. The question that needs to address is, what are the challenges militating against police effective performance in Nigeria? These challenges are: 1, inadequate manpower; 2, inadequate operational equipment such as vehicles, arms and ammunition, communication equipment, drones, area surveillance, security surveillance, helicopters, armored vehicles, and so on and so forth. Inadequate training of personnel. Training and retraining is vital to achieve optimum performance. This has not been possible over the years due to underfunding or lack of funds for training of personnel. Inadequate office and barrack accommodation. Most police stations and barracks that were built since the colonial period have not undergone any form of renovation despite increase in the strength of the force. This has impacted negatively on performance of the personnel. On the issue of state police, it is the submission of the leadership of the Nigerian police force that Nigeria is yet to mature and ready for the establishment of state-controlled police. This is due to the underlying reasons. 1, There's no adequate resources in place for police infrastructure, such as police colleges, training schools, barracks, police stations, clinics, vehicles, communication equipments for the state governments. Again, there are potential for abuse of power by state political leadership. State governors could use police forces under their control for political or personal gain and undermine human rights and security.
You have 1 minute, sir.
Okay.
Correct this, please.
Please, I beg your pardon. I want to correct this. The President of Nigeria, ably represented by distinguished Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, the Vice President of Nigeria. I beg your pardon. Furthermore, creating state police at the moment will exacerbate ethnic tension in the country. It could equally lead to potentials for divided loyalty, as there will be multiple commands in the states. There will also be conflict of jurisdiction. The dynamism and sophistication of crime in modern time is bound by capabilities of states to handle. We have incidences of terrorism, banditry, and these crimes are of very high caliber and requires a lot of resources. In view of this, the police leadership rather is recommending the following. Instead of creating state police, first merging the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps and Federal Road Safety to form department under the Nigerian Police. 2, the yearly recruitment of police personnel into the force should be increased by at least 30,000 every year to meet the United Nations minimum standard of policing of 450 citizens to 1 police officer. Thirdly, increasing the budgetary allocation to the Nigerian police force to enable it to procure adequate operational equipment. Furthermore, improve training of personnel in modern policing to enhance capabilities and efficiency. Finally, to amend the constitutional provision, section 214 of 1999 Constitution as amended, relating to the establishment of Nigerian Police Force to include a new section that reads thus: the Federation shall, subject to the Act of National Assembly made in that behalf, fund, equip, and maintain the Nigerian Police Force as may be considered adequate and effective for the purpose of internal security, being the lead agency in internal security. Finally, I would say that the police force, being the lead agency and a critical stakeholder in these security issues, wishes us, all of us, a good deliberation. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Well done, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. AIG Ben Okolo, representing the inspector.
Judge Akume, who has asked me to represent him here this morning. He would have been here in person to witness this very wonderful event. But for the exigencies of his office, he has asked me to present a short goodwill message on his behalf. Your Excellencies, it is very noteworthy to note that this conference on the national dialogue on the state policing with a theme, Pathways to Peace, Reimagining Policing in Nigeria, could not have come at a much better time than now, considering the very present security situation that we have on hand. The present security situation in Nigeria today has called for a thoughtful review of the policing system, that is in line with both our local and international best practices, putting into consideration the environmental factors that we have in Nigeria. I wish to commend the organizers of this dialogue for coming up with this topical issue at this very moment, hoping that at the end of this discussion, the outcome will go a long way to reshaping the security architecture of our great nation and restore the hope of all Nigerians in line with the renewed hope agenda of this administration. With the array of distinguished and experienced discussants here today, it is hopeful that the better days for an effective and efficient security system in Nigeria are not far from us. It is on this note that I urge you all to give your best and objective contributions to this discussion. I strongly believe that at the end of this discussion, the relevant agencies concerned, including but not limited to the National Assembly, will leverage on the inputs made by various experts and the international and development partners to provide a secured nation for all Nigerians. It is important to reiterate the fact that security is everyone's business. Hence, all hands must be on deck to provide a secured and unorganized policing system in the realization of our old days secured environment and peaceful coexistence in this country. This can best be achieved by thoroughly looking into some of the recommendations made by the various experts and speakers at this event, which include a well-structured, multi-layer policing system, a better equipped police force, and an efficient as well as effective intelligence and information sharing strategies. Once again, let me commend the organizers and facilitators of this event for coming up with this very wonderful and thoughtful team at this very moment of our great nation. On this note, I want to thank all of you and wish you a fruitful deliberation as you progress. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we all can say amen to that particular prayer. Thank you very much for your goodwill.
Of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON. Esteemed guests, honorable gentlemen, please allow me to stand on all protocols already observed. I'm honored to be here today at this national dialogue to deliver this address on behalf of the British High Commissioner, His Excellency Dr. Richard Montgomery. Let me start by thanking the Speaker of the National House of Representatives for bringing us all together. The UK values our relationship with the National Assembly as the seat of Nigeria's democracy. We are following closely the work of the Constitutional Review Committee, and especially today's issue of state policing. Security and policing are a central pillar of the strategic partnership between the UK and Nigeria, alongside pillars such as our strong people-to-people links, our broad development cooperation, and our trade and investment. Our hope, like yours, is for a more peaceful Nigeria, and such hope aligns fully with the agenda of His Excellency, the President Bola Tinubu. In February of this year, the UK and Nigeria renewed our security and defence partnership after the National Security Advisor Ribadu hosted a large UK delegation. Both sides reaffirmed our commitment to work together to address shared challenges and threats. Threats that do not respect borders. Threats that put our peoples, our mutual prosperity, and our shared values at risk. Policing and law enforcement cooperation is an important strand of our security and defence partnership. Just a couple of examples, if I may. We continue to offer technical assistance on mechanisms for police accountability, human rights standards, and efforts to implement the Police Act of 2020. And we continue to offer collaboration between UK and Nigerian law enforcement agencies on critical issues such as anti-corruption and anti-kidnap work, and especially the creation of the Office of the National Security Advisor's new multi-agency anti-kidnap fusion center. But today's debate is about the creation of state police and its compatibility with Nigeria's constitutional and legal frameworks. This is a debate that requires careful deliberation. And it is not for me, as a diplomatic outsider, to say which model is most appropriate. That is a sovereign decision for Nigeria, and that is for you to decide. But I can offer an outsider's perspective for you to take or leave. Around the world, different countries have distinct models of policing, models that are shaped by each country's unique history, differing contexts, and the evolution of modern policing challenges. The British model of regional constabularies looks very different when compared to other European models, which use gendarmerie and national police forces. Despite this diversity of approaches, I would offer a few observations about common criteria which most of the best policing models seek to meet. Good models of policing share at least 5 common criteria that are worth considering. First, policing by public consent. Second, operational independence from political interference. Third, investment that is in line with national security priorities. Fourth, robust accountability measures, or checks and balances, if you will. Fifth, clear respect for human rights and the rule of law. And I offer these criteria as possible contributions as you go about your deliberations today. Let me end by commending the leadership of the National Assembly for the inclusive and consultative approach you have adopted. As part of Nigeria's democracy, the UK is pleased to be supporting, in a small way, through our partners at the Policy and Legal Advocacy Centre, PLAC, both this event and the unfolding constitutional review. And I hope any outcomes will strengthen democracy and pave the way for reforms that genuinely promote unity and faith, peace and progress in this great and diverse nation. I wish you well today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Many more outposts for policing in the state. Will they be our friends if they're at the state level? It's a big question to ponder. So let us have that question at the back of our minds. I have to thank you once more, Mr. Anab Vias, for that very inspiring goodwill message. Thank you very much for it. We'll be moving on ahead now. We have just one more or so goodwill message to take. And this time around, it's coming from no other than from the other chamber of the National Assembly. Senator Goodluck Jonathan, President of the Senate of the Federal Republic. He's here represented ably, I must say, by the Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Jibrin Barau. You're welcome, sir. I would not advise that you put that question just yet again. Oh, it's your podium. Okay, no, it's not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Your Excellency, the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu, GCFR, ably represented by His Excellency, the Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON. Your Excellency, the Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, PhD, and his able deputy, Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu, Your Excellency, the former Head of State, Federal Republic of Nigeria, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, GCFR, Your Excellency, the former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, GCFR, Right Honorable members of the leadership of the House of Representatives and other members of House of Representatives that are here, Honorable Ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that are here, Minister of Police Affairs, Minister of Budget and Planning, Minister of State Agriculture, Minister of State Development, representative of his Inspector General of Police, His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, His Royal Highness, the Ooni of Ife, His Royal Highness, the Emir of Zauzau, members of the diplomatic community, development partners, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I stand here representing the President of the Senate, Senator Godwin Obot Akpabio, who wanted to be here personally, but for the fact that he's engaged in another official assignment somewhere. I will therefore go straight away to read his address. Today, we gather here not just as politicians, lawmakers, technocrats, or bureaucrats, but as guardians of our great nation, holders of our nation's sacred trust, and protectors of our prosperity. With fidelity to these rules, we gather here today to discuss a matter of utmost importance, the security and safety of our beloved country. We gather here today to deliberate on the way forward and to chart a path towards a brighter, greater, and safer future for all Nigerians. In the face of insecurity, adversity, and uncertainty, it is our duty to see above the challenges and seize the opportunities that lie ahead. It is our duty to be the actors of change, the catalysts for progress, and the guardians of hope. Today, we stand at a crossroads where the decisions we make will shape the destiny of our nation. Today, we have the power to transform our security architecture and create a Nigeria where every citizen feels safe and protected, regardless of his or her status, religion, tribe, location, or background. As a regular Joe and a man of the people, I stand before you today, inspired by the resilience and determination of our people. I stand before you today, inspired by the courage and sacrifice of our country's security forces and law enforcement agents in the face of monstrous insecurity. I stand before you today, inspired by the vision and leadership of our President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Tinubu, GCFR. I dare to believe that we gather here under the leadership of Mr. President have what it takes to overcome the challenges that lie before us and build a nation that is strong, united, and secure. The concept of state police has been a topic of debate for many years. It is a complex issue with no easy answers. But today, courtesy of the House of Representatives, we have the opportunity to engage in a national dialogue, to listen to the voices of our fellow citizens, and to forge a path towards a more secure Nigeria. Let us seize this opportunity with open hearts and open minds. Let us listen to one another, learn from one another, and work together to find common ground. The presence of our esteemed President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, His Excellency Bola Tinubu, GCFR, ably represented by the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, GCON in this event underscores its importance and government's commitment to reform and strengthen the security architecture of our country. It is always a pleasure to welcome him to any national event, not only because he is such an inspirational leader, but also because he's an alumnus of the National Assembly. The Vice President also is an alumnus of the National Assembly. Like I said recently, President Tinubu did not only come to steady the ship of state, he came to adjust the sails and steer the ship of state through rough and fair weather to the right direction and to the right destination. He's known for rearranging the sails, and this is exactly what he did in agreeing that modalities should be worked out for us to have state police. I pay tribute to the Right Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, the principal officers of the House of Representatives, and also members of House of Representatives for setting the stage for a national discourse of this important and critical issue. In working out modalities for the state police and the security of our nation, we must not forget that security is not a privilege, but a fundamental right of every Nigerian. It is our duty to ensure that this right is upheld, that justice is served, and that rule of law prevails at all times. We must build a security architecture that is robust, transparent, and accountable. If we are able to set up state police departments, we must ensure that they are free from shackles of politics, religious extremism, tribalism, and ethnicism. We must empower them to serve and protect without fear or favor. As we consider this proposition, let us draw inspiration from the United States of America, a nation that has successfully implemented a system of state and federal policing. Let us learn from their experiences and adapt their models to suit our unique socio-political context. Let us ensure that our state police forces work in harmony with their federal counterparts, collaborating to fight crime, preserve peace, and safeguard our democracy. In the United States of America, the FBI, the federal police body, enforces federal laws, and the state police departments enforce state laws. The FBI also investigates interstate crimes. We must draw the lines because to have functional police, state police, we must have a strong federal police. But let us never forget that power of state police should never be used as a tool of oppression. Let us ensure that political powers cannot manipulate the state police to silence dissent or target their enemies. Let us ensure that influence do not exert undue, the influential do not exert undue influence over the state. Police, and that justice is blind to wealth, power, politics, or status. Let us build a system that is fair, just, and equitable for all. Therefore, in this hallowed hall, let us embrace this dialogue as an opportunity for unity, understanding, and collaboration. Let us rise above our differences and work towards a common goal, a safer and more secure Nigeria. Let us use our collective efforts to build a nation that can withstand the challenges that lie ahead, a nation that can combat the monster of insecurity that currently threatens us. In closing, I extend my deepest gratitude to our President, His Excellency Alhaji Bola Tinubu, for his presence, for the fact that he is ably represented by his able Vice President, shows an unwavering commitment to our nation's security. I thank my brother, the Right Honorable Speaker, for this dialogue. I also extend my heartfelt appreciation to the organizers, participants, and all those involved in making this dialogue a reality. Your dedication for this cause are commendable, and I am confident that our deliberations will yield fruitful outcomes for our nation and our posterity. Together, let us pave the way for a brighter and safer future for all Nigerians. Together, let us be the change that we want to see. Let us create the change that we want to see. Together, let us build a Nigeria that we can all be proud of. Thank you, and may God bless our great nation, Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Can we keep the applause going until he gets here? Thank you very much.
Thank you. The Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, our dear brother, His Excellency Kashim Shettima, GCON, the former President, His Excellency Goodluck Jonathan, GCFR, the former Head of State, His Excellency Abdulsalami Abubakar, GCFR, the Deputy Senate President, His Excellency Barrow Jibrin, my dear brother, Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu, the Deputy Speaker of the People's House, the principal officers of the National Assembly here present, distinguished senators and members of the National Assembly, Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, His Excellency Atiku Bagudu, the Honorable Minister of State, Agric, Senator Aliyu Sahabi, the Honorable Minister of Police Affairs, His Excellency Distinguished Senator Ibrahim Gaidam, the Honorable Minister of State, Steel Development, my dear brother, Honorable Maigari Amadou, Major General Mala, representing the National Security Advisor, Major General A.A. Ariabi, representing the Chief of Defense Staff, AIG Ben Okolo, representing the Inspector General of Police, DCG Zakari Ibrahim Ningi, representing the Commandant of the Nigerian Civil Defense, our Royal Fathers of the Day, His Royal Majesty Sultan Muhammad Saad Abubakar III, Sultan of Sokoto, His Royal Highness Oba Adeyeye Enitan Ogunwusi, the Ooni of Ife, His Royal Highness Nnamdikanu Alfred Ogochun Achebe, CFR, the Ooni of Onitsha, the Obi of Onitsha, spelling from those who wrote it for me here, so sorry. His Royal Highness, my own Emir, Ambassador Aminu Bamali, Emir of Zaria, Emir of Zazzau, His Eminence, John Cardinal Onaikom, the Metropolitan Archbishop of Abuja, the British High Commissioner, ably represented here, the German Ambassador, Her Excellency Annette Gunther, other members of the Diplomatic Corps, the CNA, and the Clerk of the House of Representatives, our development partners, the lead, panel discussants, and facilitators of today's events, distinguished invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted and honored to welcome you all to this important national discourse on the plausibility of state police. I thank our distinguished guests for accepting the invitation to participate in this important national dialogue. I sincerely thank His Excellency, President Bola Tinubu, GCFR, represented here by His Excellency the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON. Your presence, sir, here signifies the importance attached by this government to national security. I'm equally thankful to His Excellency Goodluck Jonathan and His Excellency General Abdulsalami Abubakar for lending their voices to this very important national discourse. Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. Your unique positions as former heads of state and president meant that you bring enormous experience to the issue being discussed here today. Your insights will no doubt greatly enhance the quality of today's dialogue. I thank the security chiefs, members of the diplomatic corps, and all other government officials for accepting our invitation despite tight schedules. The President's commitment to overhauling and transforming the Nigerian police force into a modern, professional, and accountable institution is evident and commendable. Earlier this year, the President and state governors opened up the conversation on the possibility of setting up state policing. As noted by the national and international commentators, this marks a seismic shift in approach by the government. As you may recall, the President has set up a Constitutional Review Committee in 2023, comprising the National Security Advisor, Chairman of the Police Service Commission, and the Chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, to make recommendations towards complete police reforms, particularly because no extensive and systematic reforms have taken place in the Nigerian police force since its creation in 1861. Recent attempts, including the Police Repeal and Reenactment Act of 2020 and the Police Trust Fund Act of 2019, were significant first steps, but not nearly as far-reaching as necessary. Therefore, this forum is the House's effort to support the vision of the President and further the discussion on police reforms and multi-level policing in the country. This is in line with the constitutional mandate of the National Assembly to make laws for the order, peace, and good governance of the country, as contained in the 1999 constitutions. It is also in line with our legislative agenda priorities to undertake judicial reform, promote rule of law and human rights, streamline and improve the constitutional reform processes, and improve national security in general. As legislators, we are tasked with crafting laws that address our people's immediate needs and anticipate and mitigate future challenges. Our role in security lawmaking is to ensure that any initiative, such as establishing state policing, adheres to our Constitution and aligns with the broader goals of national security and our public welfare. Furthermore, legislative oversight is essential to ensure that these laws are implemented effectively and continue to serve the best interests of the Nigerian people. Through our committees and investigative processes, the National Assembly has a duty to monitor, review, and refine operations of security agencies to prevent any abuses of power and safeguard citizens' rights and freedoms. The House of Representatives is aware of the divisive and polarizing arguments surrounding the issue under review. Let me state categorically that the House, and indeed the National Assembly, does not have a fixed position on this matter. Our role is to facilitate a dialogue and generate consensus. In discussions as significant as this, it is imperative that we approach each debate with objectivity and neutrality. We must acknowledge our biases and set them aside in favor of what is most beneficial to our dear country. Our discussions should be marked not by the pursuit of personal or political gains, but by a steadfast commitment to the common good of the people. The National Assembly, as the largest representative and deliberative body in Nigeria, is uniquely positioned to facilitate this dialogue with a spirit of openness and sincerity. We are the bridge between government and the governed, between different political ideologies, and between the present needs and future aspirations of our dear country. Creating state policing system requires more than just legislative action. It requires a national consensus. As diverse and complex as our great country is, so too are the opinions and perspectives on how best to manage and implement local policy. It is only through open, inclusive, and respectful dialogue, like the one we are part of today, that we can build the necessary consensus needed. It is crucial that every voice is heard, from the northern reaches of our Sahel to the coastal hubs in the south. Each region and geopolitical zone has its unique challenges and insights. By embracing these differences and working through them together, we can forge policies that are robust, equitable, and tailored to the specific needs of our communities. Dear Mr. President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our mission here is simple: to deliberate the future of policing in Nigeria, reflecting on our historical context, aligning our actions with the demands of our diverse and dynamic populace, and daunting contemporary security challenges that have stretched our existing system to a breaking point. The concept of state police involves decentralizing law enforcement functions to the state level, thereby allowing for more localized and responsive policing tailored to the unique needs of each state. However, Section 214 of the 1999 Constitution establishes the Nigerian police force as unitary police for the Federation or any part thereof. However, as noted earlier, evolving security challenges and other institutional and structural changes have severely affected the general effectiveness of the police. As we are mostly aware, this deficit has resulted in the military engaging in policing functions in all states of the Federation, including the Federal Capital Territory. In turn, this has also overstretched the armed forces and affected their effectiveness in combating other broader security challenges, including those that threaten the territorial integrity of our dear country. In view of the above, many have argued that a decentralized and community-based approach to policing has become imperative to empower states to address the complex security challenges in the context of their local environment and peculiarities. Some see the current centralized structure of the police as a negation of true federalism. Several countries structured as federations have well-established states, provisional or regional police that exercise authority over relevant subnational jurisdictions and collaborate on law enforcement matters with national or federal police, where both exist. Some of the federal countries with functional decentralized policing systems include Brazil, the United States of America, Argentina, Canada, Spain, Germany, India, among others. Other decentralized policing countries include Pakistan, Botswana, the United Kingdom, and Mexico. On this note, I would like to thank the ambassadors of these respective countries to Nigeria for accepting to share their experiences with us at this particular forum. Thank you so much for coming. As we delve into the substance of today's dialogue, please permit me to highlight a few issues that I think are critical to the overall conversation on the merits and the merit of state policing and its desirability or otherwise for Nigeria. First and foremost, it is imperative to acknowledge that the push for reforming our police forces is not merely desirable but necessary. We are at a stage where public trust in law enforcement is teetering. Also, the burden of policing the vast geographical expanse of our country and a rapidly expanding population warrants a reform of the current structure. The need for a system that maintains law and order and upholds every Nigerian's dignity and rights cannot be overstated. Reform is essential to heal and to build, rebuilding trust, rebuilding effectiveness, and rebuilding our shared commitments to justice. Secondly, whereas most Nigerians agree on the need to reform policing, that is usually where the consensus ends. There is no any agreement on how best to proceed with the reform or the best policing model for Nigeria. In considering the path forward, we must recognize that no one-size-fits-all solution exists. The vast diversity of Nigeria, with over 300 ethnic groups and a range of geographic, economic, and social conditions, requires a policy model that is adaptable and sensitive to local contexts. As we explore the models of state policing that have been successful in other nations, we must be judicious in adopting these frameworks to fit our unique Nigerian situation. Furthermore, Your Excellency, it is important to remind ourselves that decentralized policing is not alien to Nigeria. Historically, during both the colonial and immediate post-colonial periods, Nigeria operated under a system where local police forces played significant roles in maintaining public order, specific to their regions. Policing in colonial times was purely decentralized, as evident by the Lagos Police Force, Hausa Constabulary, and Niger Coast Constabulary. The structure was maintained even after the merger of the Northern and Southern Protectorates with the creation of the Northern Nigerian Police and the Southern Nigerian Police Force. In fact, under the First Republic, these forces were first regionalized before their subsequent nationalization. However, subsequent civilian and military governments adopted a rigidly centralized pattern for the Nigerian police force. As such, you should take cognizance of the fact that decentralized policing is not an entirely new proposition. The historical precedents support the notion that a decentralized approach can be beneficial and effective if properly managed. However, we must proceed with caution. There is a palpable fear among citizens, a fear of potential tyranny and the misuse of police powers, powers if control is devolved to the state level. These concerns are not unfounded and must be addressed promptly without bias or sentiments. This emphasizes the need for robust frameworks that ensure accountability, transparency, and equitable service delivery across all states. Equally important are setting stringent national standards, establishing oversight bodies, and involving communities in the policing process. Your Excellency, distinguished stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen, I consider the above insights and background germane to guide us in this crucial dialogue on the nation's security challenge and police reform. As earlier noted, the House of Representatives and by extension, the National Assembly will facilitate consensus building towards strengthening security and policing structures to protect lives and properties better. Whatever model Nigeria adopts, our focus must always be on developing a police system that is efficient, responsible, responsive, and subject to global best practices in its management and operation. In conclusion, I task you to debate freely on the pros and the cons of state policing. As we engage, issues to consider may include, but not limited to, the following: the desirability or otherwise of state policing, the time frame for a transition if deemed desirable, suitable model or models for Nigeria that account for context and diversity, appropriate legal and institutional frameworks, essential safeguards against abuse, continuous review and oversight mechanisms, financial arrangements between the different levels of governments, modality for recruitment, management operation, and relationship between state police and the federal police, among others. Once again, Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you for answering our call and being part of this important conversation. I wish to especially recognize our partners, specifically the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, PLAC, the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, and the Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office, FCDO, for providing support for this dialogue. Also, our deepest appreciations to the government of Germany for supporting the program and sponsoring a security expert to come all the way from Germany to participate in this very important discussion. Given the array of expertise, knowledge, and experience gathered here today, I sincerely hope that this dialogue will deliver outcomes that will further enrich and enhance our legislative work and interventions necessary for the peace, security, and development of our dear country. We look forward to a robust national exchange of ideas and your recommendations for necessary legislative action. The outcome of today's discussion will contribute in creating the best option available for Nigeria. Thank you for your attention. May God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you so much.
There you have it, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. The Speaker, the keynote address from the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, PhD. Well, he's listed and enumerated the challenges, the misconceptions, and the fears. But one thing he's also reiterated and he said is non-negotiable is that reforming our police force is not just desirable, but very expedient. He's also laid out friends where state policing was such a big topic and something that has gone on from then on. Your Excellency, it's really good to have your remarks on this very important issue. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. You know, as former heads of states, we have a hierarchy. You cannot speak before me. You see, I'm still the last born, so still enjoying the privilege of the last born. And even Buhari that I just finished, he will take his military position. So he's still senior to me. Until when my good friend Tinubu finishes, then I will have a junior brother. So thank you so much. His Excellency, Mr. President, here represented by the Vice President, my good friend, thank you for coming. The Senate President, represented by the Deputy Senate President, thank you for your brilliant speech. And our Chief Host, the Right Honorable Speaker, thank you for bringing us together to have this conversation. His Excellency General Abdulsalami Abubakar, the former head of state, and is somebody who navigated the current democratic setting and has endured for 25 years because of your good works. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate, we really need to listen to you. The Deputy Speaker and Principal Officers of the National Assembly are here with us, and members of the National Assembly. The Chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, thank you for coming. We really want to listen to you because the issue of state police is very critical. Honorable ministers are here with us, members of the diplomatic corps, the Chief of Defense Staff and the Inspector General of Police being represented. His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, thank you for coming. His Imperial Majesty, the Ooni of Ife, thank you for coming. And other revered royal fathers are here with us. Our dear leader, John Cardinal Lancor, thank you for being here, and other clergymen that are here with us. There are so many retired and former senior government functionaries that are here. I wouldn't bother you to enumerate their names. But in the waiting room, I saw General Dambaza, who was my Chief of Army Staff, then later became Minister of Defense, who will listen to you. And Solomon Arase, Dr. Solomon Arase, who was my Inspector General of Police, and I think now the Chairman of the Police Service Commission, you're still there. And other very senior military people, government functionaries that are here to talk. I will be extremely brief in my intervention. First and foremost, let me thank the Honorable Speaker, members of the committee, and indeed the House of Rep for inviting me to participate in this national dialogue on state policing. In fact, I got information only yesterday when I had a conversation with the speaker. It would have been difficult for me to come, but since I left office, I've been having a number of programs, and the National Assembly have always been there to support me. And this is the first time the National Assembly invited me, so I said I will do everything, cancel all my other programs to come and honor you. In fact, the issue today, national dialogue on state policing, is very critical. But one thing is that we don't need to debate on whether we should have state police or not. I think that matter has been concluded. The issue is the operations of the police. I operated at the state level for 8 years, deputy governor, then came to the center, vice president, president for another 8 years. And I know that in Bayelsa State and other states that attempted to have some element of security operatives that assisted the police, it worked very well. In Bayelsa State, when we took over, the state was almost ungovernable. Abdusalami will remember that when the elections were to be conducted in December 1999, Colonel Edo will be then wrote to you saying the security situation in Bayelsa State was so bad that couldn't guarantee elections in December 98. So our elections were pushed to January 99. When we took over, the state was in crisis. Niger Delta agitation was there, but criminal elements were also operating all the creeks and were doing all kinds of havoc to market women and others. Until Alamisi, then my boss, also set up the Bayelsa volunteers that work with police. And we had to build stations around the critical parts of the creeks. And the boys volunteered to work with the police since they couldn't carry weapons. And that brought the excessive piracy down. So there's no way we can manage our internal security if states will not have their police. So the issue is not states having police, but how will the state police function vis-a-vis the national security architecture? When I set up the 2014 National Dialogue, within that period, we have a lot of challenges in the country. People were agitating so many areas. But when we set up that dialogue, one thing that the whole almost 500 delegates agreed without much ado was the issue of state police. When that matter came up, everybody supported the issue of state police. So we cannot move away from state police. I remember the issue of state police was accepted. The issue of national border force was also accepted. Then the issue of Coast Guard was also accepted. And the National Assembly, while you are debating or conducting a public hearing on the state police, these issues of national border force must be considered. Because we said that, yes, the immigration and the customs carry weapons, and they are the border controls, but they cannot play the role of national border guards, because those are control routes. The customs and immigration stay in the control routes. Criminal elements don't pass those control routes. They pass through the borders at different points. It is only when we have a national border force that will be able to contain these elements. And most of the customs and the immigration, though they carry weapons, but they were not sufficiently trained to confront these criminal gangs. I was in the customs for 2 years before I entered the university, and I know the training given to us was not enough for you to confront these criminal gangs. So these issues must be integrated with the issue of state police. Could the state police also, for the riverine areas like the Niger Delta, also play that role of coast guards? Could the one in the northern the boundary areas also play the role of the national border force? This will surely help the country. We are not going to debate, and we should not waste our time debating whether we should have state police or not. Listening to the speaker, he gave the history. Even in this country, we operated it before. Why is that the military scrapped it? Because of the abuse. And that is the area we should concentrate on. How do we manage the state police and it will not be abused by state political actors? If state political actors are abusing the state police and using the state police to harass and make life miserable for people who don't belong to their political parties, could the commander-in-chief sit down and watch? Or will he order the military to go and overrun the state police? Of course, that will bring crisis in the country. So the key areas that we have to debate is how do we run the state police vis-a-vis the national security architecture of the country. And these things need to be done carefully. Luckily, there are so many countries that have this. We also experimented it before during the First Republic. And the relevant committee members who travel to this country or understudy them or get it from the Google or read from the literature. Because it is very critical. That is the area we are worried. This matter would have come up even much earlier than now, even when I was in office. But what we were worried was that, look, even in local government elections, even in cosmopolitan states, other parties, if the governor is from party A, you see people in party B and C will win elections as senators, will even win elections as House of Rep, will win some state assembly elections, but they come to local government chairman and councillor, at least no other party wins. It's only the party that produced the governor that will clear all the councillors. It's not possible. So if we're talking about state police, we must also rejig INEC. And the police must not be used against or to the advantage of any political party that by divine providence happens to be the governor of the state. So the issue of the voting, the polling booths of INEC and the use of the police during elections has to be reviewed by the National Assembly. In fact, even the polling units we use for our voting, this is the only country I've visited that have isolated polling units. Most other countries have gone to observe elections. They have polling centers. They take primary school or secondary school. And within that polling center, you may have 5 to 10 polling units within the polling center. I just came back from Senegal, then from Pakistan. You see the police are always at the gate. They don't even go into the compound. They don't go near where voting was taking place. The citizens were also disciplined enough not to behave in a way that will attract the police. We must find a way to make the use of police for electoral purposes very, very limited. Not what we hear today, that security operatives assist in ballot stuffing or snatching or things that way. So the National Assembly need to look into all this. I think these are the areas that we have to concentrate. The issue of the need for states to have their own police is not negotiable. There's no way we can continue this kidnapping that is going on in this country. It is for this commercial kidnapping started about 2006. I don't want to go into that history when I was the governor of Bayelsa State. But it started in the Niger Delta. Now it has been a commercial venture all over the country. And we've not been able to control it. The only thing that can help us, if we cannot stop it completely, but at least to reduce it to the barest minimum, is for states to have their police. And while making the law, sometimes we'll say, okay, the state police should have limited weapons. The caliber of weapons the police should have in the state should be limited. That is an area that must also be we must be careful with. I'm not expecting states to have rockets, missiles, but the conventional weapons, if you look at the caliber of weapons criminals use, the states must have superior weapons, or at least equal. If you make the states to have weapons that are inferior to the ones that the criminals are using, then you're asking their police to commit suicide in the field. You cannot give your police a weapon that will kill at maybe 50 meters range. Then the criminal has a weapon that will kill 100-meter range. Then you are not doing anything. So we must not even go there in terms of limiting the capacity of the state police. A state that has enough resources must equip the police very well. And that state can also assist other states. I remember in East Southern Africa, you see a country like Rwanda sometimes send their military to assist other countries when they have crisis. So a state that has a little more money and equip the police very well can also send assistance to another police and another state that have major challenges. It's national challenge. And if you don't crush the challenge that state has, those criminal elements will one day come to your state. So wherever it is happening, the states should come together. Luckily, the chairman of this Governors Forum is here, he will speak, can work together. That is the best way we can protect this nation and Nigerians, and everybody has anything to do in Nigeria will live at peace. I thank you all.
And that much came out in the 2014 National Conference, which his government hosted, and which, we've seen through experience by the different paramilitary services that are currently existing, or should I say para-police services that are currently existing in many states, that is what we most likely will be going towards. The question he has highlighted is how that is going to be in existence. So without much ado, it's certainly a lot more for the discussants to continue to add to their list of things to discuss. But I know that this conversation is not over. We're going to be taking right away the remarks, the special remarks of General Abdulsalami Abubakar, former head of state of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause as he comes up stage. Okay.
The Vice President, Kashim Shettima, Honorable Speaker, our host and convener, distinguished senators present, honorable members, ministers here present, our royal fathers, Assalamu alaikum. Indeed, I want to thank the Right Honorable Speaker and, please can I have a chair? Thank you. Permission to sit down. Speech you made. All I will add is that in order to make peace and security in any nation, the governance must be transparent, honesty, accountability, and all that it takes to make citizens comfortable in order to go on their daily business to earn their legitimate earnings. Again, having said that, the citizens of any country have got citizens' responsibility. And that responsibility is to ensure the maintenance of peace and order. And this can be done by obeying the Constitution, laws and provided by the various governments. It is our responsibility to be each other's keeper and ensure that there is equity in the maintenance of issues provided by the various governments. Indeed, our royal fathers have a lot of responsibility in ensuring the maintenance of peace and order. As a young child growing up in a rural community, we see the role of these royal fathers in the various arm of, in quote, their government, where if a stranger enters a village, within hours, the village head knows about that stranger, and through their means of communication, the emir is aware. I think as much as we are talking of establishing state police, we should also look into the role vis-a-vis of our royal fathers. President Jonathan has mentioned the relationship of what I will change to say the politicians vis-a-vis the local police if we decide to have them. It is absolutely necessary the politicians, as much as possible, should avoid exerting influence on the ways the police is going to operate, if at all we agree to have the police although President Jonathan has already concluded that is the operational standard that we are going to discuss. I think we must really give it a thought to how to operationalize these policies if we decide to have them. Again, let me thank the Right Honorable Speaker for the invitation extended to us. And let me thank, through the Vice President, President Tinubu, for what has been happening since he assumed office. It has not been easy, and although the economy is biting and a lot of insecurity has taken place, I really sympathize with your government for the inheritance you inherited. But the good Lord will continue to guide, protect Nigeria, and I'm absolutely sure in no distant future we'll overcome our difficulties. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Thank you so much. Once more, another round of applause for His Excellency, former Head of State.
Why is my very good friend Benjamin Nebolisa Okolo, the AIG representing my friend, you know? He holds BSc Political Science and LLB Law from UNIBEN and UNN and Uni Abuja. He was variously the AIG Zone 16 covering Rivers and Bayelsa. He was CP Bayelsa State. And of course, he was DCP Post Investigation Bureau, DCP Special Prod Unit, and of course, head of IGP Monitoring Unit, and trained at the Interpol College in France. So to commit a slip, actually it's not a mistake, but it's only a man of courage that can rise to the occasion and correct himself with dignity. And His Excellency, former President Goodluck Jonathan, his name was modeled up for a greater part of 10 years. He was variously a deputy governor, a vice president. Some were calling him Goodluck Jonathan, some were calling him Jonathan Goodluck, until he became the president, and Nigerians got to know that his full names are Goodluck Jonathan. And for the Right Honorable Speaker to address me as his junior brother is right in order. He was born on 1st October 1963. He is 6 years old. I'm just 57 years old. So it's right for him to address me. The chief host, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Dr. Tajuddin Abbas. His Excellency, the former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Chairman of this occasion, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, GCFR. His finest hour came not when he was the president. His finest hour was when the nation was at a precipice. When the nation was at a point of implosion, he elected to choose the path of honor, of integrity. That concession speech transformed him into a global statesman. Thank you so much, Mr. President. I was your sparring partner when I was the governor of Borno State, and discretion is the better part of valor. I was asked variously by so many media houses to grant interviews on the 10th anniversary of the Chibok girls' abduction. But out of respect and decorum to this gentleman, I decline respectfully to grant any interview. And of course, another elder statesman who could have effortlessly transmuted into a civilian dictator. But he again elected to side with history, to side with honor, and midwife the fastest transition in Nigerian political history. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, join me in thanking General Abdulsalami Abubakar, GCFR. He's a diaspora Kanuri just like Usman Bello Kumo. The Deputy President of the Senate, distinguished Senator Barrow Ibrahim Jibrin, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu, and other principal officers of the Federal House of Representatives present here, members of the Federal House of Representatives, too numerous to mention, the Honorable Minister of Police Affairs, Senator Dr. Ibrahim Gaidam, and other honorable ministers present here, special advisors and senior aides to the President, permanent secretaries, directors general and heads of extra-ministerial agencies and parastatals, representatives of service chiefs, head of security and parliamentary agencies of government, the organizers and supporters of this event, especially Her Excellency the Ambassador of Germany to Nigeria, Ambassador Annette Gunther, the country representative of the United Nations Development Program, Mrs. Elsie Atapua, the Executive Director, Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, Mr. Clement Nwanko, and of course, the British High Commissioner to Nigeria. Other members of the diplomatic corps. Our father, who has become a permanent fixture in all our engagements, His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Saad Abubakar III, His Imperial Majesty, the Ooni of Ife Oba Enitan Ogunwuse, His Royal Highness, the Emir of Zozo, Ambassador Ahmed Nuhu Bamali, His Royal Highness, although I couldn't register his presence, but I have to recognize him in absentia, the Obi of Onisha, other royal fathers present here, and our religious leaders, most especially His Eminence, John Cardinal Olorompemi Onaikan, Metropolitan Archbishop Emeritus of Abuja, elder statesmen and captains of industry, members of the academia present, members of the fourth estate of the Rim, honored guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I will not add that I have observed all protocol like the Minister of Police Affairs said, because I have gone through all the protocol lists. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, honorable members of the House of Representatives, esteemed stakeholders and all participants, I am delighted to be a part of this important national dialogue, focusing on reimagining policing in Nigeria and the best ways for reforming and strengthening the institution of the police. This dialogue has been convened under the auspices of our esteemed Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives, the People's House, to engage in a dialogue that holds the promise of transformative change for our nation's policing policies and practices. I would like to begin by extending my heartfelt gratitude to the Speaker and the members of the House of Representatives for organizing this national dialogue. Your leadership in bringing us together to address the crucial issue of state policing underscores your commitment to the security and well-being of our citizens. This initiative is not only timely, but also speaks to the commitment of the legislative arm to addressing critical national issues through inclusive discussion and collaborative governance. This government, under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu, GCFR, is acutely aware of the complex security issues that our country faces. As such, we are continually developing and refining our strategies and methods to address these challenges effectively. Today's dialogue is critical to these efforts, providing a platform for robust discussion and innovative thinking regarding the decentralization and reform of our policing structure. The President deserves commendation for his openness and proactive stance towards the idea of reforming and decentralizing the police force. His Excellency, Mr. President, firmly believes that the path to effective security is through adaptive reforms catering to our diverse nation's unique needs and circumstances. This can only be achieved by carefully reviewing various models and options best suited to Nigeria's context. This thoughtful and inclusive approach will guide us towards a policing system that is both effective and respectful of the rights and dignity of all citizens. It gladdens my heart that the 10th House of Representatives, under the Speaker, Right Honorable Dr. Tajuddin Abbas, has keyed into this initiative of the President. The involvement of the legislature in executive reform proposals ensures continuity and synergy. Let us use this opportunity to engage and explore every option with the seriousness and diligence they demand. The President is committed to listening to your recommendations and insights, invaluable to shaping the policies that will lead us towards a more secure and just society. The concept of state policing is not merely a policy proposal, but a potential milestone in the evolution of our law enforcement framework. It offers the possibility of tailoring law enforcement more closely to the diverse needs of our communities. As we discuss and debate its merits and challenges, let us remember our collective values and diversity. As Vice President, I am deeply invested in the outcomes of today's discussions. The insights we gain will inform our administration's approach to supporting legislation that not only enhances the capacity of our police force, but also strengthens the bonds of trust between law enforcement and the public. In our deliberations, let us consider the implications of state policing from multiple perspectives. We must evaluate its potential to improve response times to emergencies, adapt to specific local challenges, and increase accountability. At the same time, we must address concerns related to the standardization of training, oversight, and the safeguarding of civil liberties. Our dialogue today should also be seen as an opportunity to listen, understand, and propose solutions that bridge gaps. It is essential that this forum is not the end, but the beginning of an ongoing conversation on the issue of police and security sector reform in our country. The theme of today's is a pivotal aspect of our national discourse. It reflects a collective recognition of the need for a more localized, responsive, and effective law enforcement framework. The broad-based nature of the stakeholders gathered here today, from government officials, security experts, religious and traditional leaders, to civil society representatives, underscores the comprehensive approach to ensure that diverse perspectives are heard and integrated into the policy-making process. As we proceed with today's sessions, I urge each participant to engage with openness, honesty, and insight. The value of this dialogue lies in its ability to harness unbiased and constructive criticism and suggestions from all quarters. Your contributions today are not merely academic or theoretical discussions. They are the building blocks of the transformative reforms we aspire to implement. Let me conclude by extending, Mr. President, gratitude to all participants for your dedication to the cause of national security and reform. Your expertise and perspectives are essential in navigating the future. I also wish to reiterate the President's readiness to support and implement meaningful reforms that will emerge from this dialogue. The commitment of the administration of President Bola Tinubu to reform the police force and enhance security at both the national and state levels is unwavering. We view the outcomes of today's deliberations as crucial inputs that will guide government's actions towards reforming the institutions of the police and achieving a safer and more secure Nigerian. Thank you for your attention, and may our discussions today be fruitful and lead to enduring positive impacts on our nation's policing and security architecture. With these remarks, on behalf of President Bola Tinubu, I am honored and delighted to formally declare this dialogue open. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. May I request you, Your Excellency, to please come forward here for pictures. We're going to be taking pictures for this event. I'll ask him to please be joined by Dr. Goodluck